Hello. Okay, as those of you who are coming in, just give me a moment here as I get a couple of things set up behind the scenes for myself. Okay, everyone, I'm going to open up this chat bar on the side, and all I need you to actually do is just say hello. That lets me know that you can hear me and also that you can see me. So we know anytime that we are using technology that it could be my connection, it could be your connection, and that things will sometimes happen. And not to fret, I'm recording this, and because you are on here and you've registered, you will get the link for it. So do not worry about it. All right, lots of you coming in. Hello, 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 hello. Awesome, perfect, beautiful. It is beautiful looking outside. The sun is shining. I am about 45 minutes north of Toronto, and the sun is shining. I know it's quite cold out there with the wind chill, but when I finish this, I'm bundling up and I am getting outside into that fresh air. Okay, so we are 10 o'clock on the dot. While we are giving it a couple of minutes for more people to be rolling in, just a couple of housekeeping things. You can choose to sit here and to take notes, or you can choose to sit here and be a participant. Here's what I'm going to recommend to you. This is going to help you with your adrenals or any frenetic type of anxious energy that you have right now, but it's also going to help you to learn. Get off your phone while you're listening to this. Do not be simultaneously scrolling through Instagram, and I know all of you do it. Actually listen, like you've taken the time to show up today, so be present. Turn your notifications off, okay? All of that. Oh, so many of you coming on. Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Amazing. Okay, so this is going to flow a little differently. So I'm going to talk, I'm going to give you some different information, and then I'm going to open it up for Q&A at the end. If you've been following me for a while, or even if not, maybe this is how you discovered myself and my work, I have a podcast that is called Simplicity Session, The Simplicity Sessions. And how I'm going to do this webinar today is like I'm doing a live cast of the podcast, because I'm going to flip this into an episode in a couple of weeks. And so welcome to the Simplicity Sessions podcast. I'm your host, Jen Pike. When I do the podcast, I always open up and share about a couple of things that I love and that I'm using. And right now, things are a little bit different in terms of maybe what our body's been requiring. I'm a really grounded person. I don't tend to ever feel anxiety. I do get overwhelmed sometimes with life and schedule, but not the way that things have felt in the last week and a half, I'd say. And we're not going to be talking about the virus today. Today is going to be about you and your nervous system, not necessarily your immune system. But I'm going to give you a couple of tips on some things. What I use when I'm feeling that kind of energy coming to the surface, I tune into adaptogens. And I'm going to teach you a little bit more about these today as we go on. But adaptogens are different herbs and botanicals that help our nervous system, that help our adrenals adapt and manage stress better from the inside out. And so there is a company called St. Francis Herb Farm that's based here in Canada. They're actually in Ontario, the province that I live in. And I use a lot of their products. They're actually one of our partners for the show for that reason, because we've been using them as a family for years. And they have a couple of different adaptogens that I've been tapping into. One of them is Stressed, which is a multi-combination. Now, remember listening to this, I am not your practitioner. I don't know your health history. You can't take these things if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, and you'd want to contact your own practitioner to know exactly what to take. But you have to remember that when products are on the shelves in the store, the amount they're telling you on the bottle, this is what's referred to as GRAS, which is generally recognized as safe. They don't do a consult with you when you go into the store. The company can't know everything about you. So the amount they're giving you on a bottle is not therapeutic. It's enough to help you manage where you're at and feel a little bit better. And that's why I feel comfortable talking about stress today. I use this a ton in my private practice. I have for years. It is pretty much a staple inside of the Hormone Project. In fact, the ladies get a bottle of this along with some other things when they join, because it's so effective. And what it'll do is it doesn't go in and blow up what that stress is. Just like poof, it's gone. It's going to float away like a cloud. It allows you to gain some perspective and to feel more grounded in your body and not so edgy, not so wiry. It'll help you with your sleep when you take this appropriately throughout the day. And then there's another one that they have called Shazandra. And that's another good adaptogen to just go in and to hug the adrenals. So I just put the Shazandra into my water that I'm sipping throughout the day. And the stress I put into my mouth directly, and I sip a little bit of water to get it down. So you can look at the ingredients on the bottle and the directions, and you can follow based on that. The other thing I have noticed in this last little bit is changes in skin. And this is one of the things we're going to talk about today with what can happen in some of the signs and symptoms that maybe your adrenals and your nervous system aren't doing as well as you think that they are. And so I've noticed that my skin has felt a little bit drier over the last week and a half. I broke out, which I don't normally break out all that much anymore. And so I use oil cleansing methods to clean my skin. If you go to my YouTube channel, I have free do-it-yourself recipes on there for cleansers. And then there's different companies I love as well too, one of which is Skin Essence. And they're a Canadian-based company, and they have a couple of different serums. And I've been using their Nourish serum like it's going out of style lately. And so I've been applying it on my skin. I've been applying it on my scalp. And the other thing I've noticed as well too is that I've had a lot of people reaching out saying they're having a flare up right now. They've got rashes that are showing up. Their rosacea has gotten worse recently. And there's a really great cream that they have called E-Cream. I've been using it religiously for a scar that I have here. I had a cyst removed before Christmas. And I can't believe the difference that this E-Cream from Skin Essence has made. So those are my two kind of skin tips for you today, and adaptogen tips. And like I said, we're going to go deeper into learning and understanding, like, why would our skin be impacted by the stress? Why would we be feeling drier? Why would, what are these things called adaptogens? So stick with me. You're going to learn a lot as we go throughout. But I'm going to ask that you keep the questions until I come back into the room. I'll pop back and forth and I'll say, okay, did that make sense? Hand me your questions and then we'll work at it from there. So this is the thing that we are talking about today, is not only what's happening with our adrenals, but I think you have to first understand, like, what are they, right? Where are they in your body? What in the heck do they do? And who else are they connected with in your body that could be having such a big impact on how we're actually feeling? And so your adrenals, you have two of them. They're two glands. They're about the size of walnuts that sit on top of your kidneys. And they are your body's team that is set up for response of stress. And how stress works in our system, like, we're all we all know what stress feels like right now because we've been feeling it. We've been feeling the uncertainty. We've been feeling the unknown, not really knowing what direction to go in. But how stress actually works in your body is in a couple of different ways. So there is the real stress that is happening where when you turn on the news right now and you're hearing information, your body has that, direct response to it. There is the stress where if you are being chased, that's true stress, your body's going to have a response to that. But then there is imagined stress where you're not actually watching anything. You're like living in here and you are creating all of these what if scenarios in your body that actually haven't happened. That's imagined stress and anticipated stress, where something negative is not even going on, something stressful is not happening, but you are getting yourself worked up into such a state of imagining and crafting up top what could possibly happen that your body doesn't understand the difference between this is real stress or this is just her going off on a tangent in her mind. This hasn't actually happened yet. And the problem with this type of stress is that your body is going to have the exact same hormonal response. So we don't have the ability for the body to say, this isn't real, this is just what she's thinking about, versus no, this is stress is actually happening right now and she has to respond. So these adrenals are, they're working for you 24/7 in whatever capacity we are calling them into action. And they're so important because the signaling doesn't start in those adrenal glands in your body. The signaling actually starts in your brain. I've explained it this way before, that imagine you have all these invisible antennas that are like coming up and out from the head, and everything that we are exposed to, that we read, we see, we breathe in, the energy of other people around us, the lifestyle that we live, the food we put in our body, every single thing that we're coming in contact with is sending a message to these signals in our system. And then our body has to decide, is this going to be one that we just let go by and be like, nope, this is a them issue, this is not a me issue? Or is it going to be something that we actually grab a hold of and have a response where the body says, we actually need to be aware of this one, we need to pull it in, and we need to now create a reaction or a response. The problem with this, this is a beautiful thing. This is how our body protects us. This is how our body stays healthy. This is how we have motivation and intuition and aspiration and all of those things. But when we get too much of the same signal, that stress signal happening, it overloads our body and it gets very difficult to make solid decisions, to feel safe in this home, in this environment that is your body. And you'll start to notice some of your own systems and some of your own functions in your body begin to feel like they're breaking down and not functioning as well. There's this huge connection that happens in your body where in the brain, we get these signals that come into something called your hypothalamus. Then they send a message into your pituitary gland. And your pituitary gland is really important because it has many, many jobs, one of which is what we've just described. But the pituitary is also what is secreting hormones and signaling hormones to your thyroid. Okay, so TSH that you would see in your blood work, that is not a thyroid hormone. It doesn't come from your thyroid. It comes from your pituitary gland in your brain. And it's signaling to that gland, the thyroid, what it needs to do. So if the pituitary is stressed, if it's getting misinformed, too much stimulation, too much information, it will impact how well it is signaling or sending the message to your thyroid for that gland to now do its job of producing certain hormones and converting them. It also, your pituitary as a woman and as a man, it talks to our gonads. Now, gonads in a man are the testicles, gonads in a woman are your ovaries. So your pituitary gland in your brain is where your follicular stimulating hormones and your luteinizing hormones, the ones that are responsible for ripening the follicles on your ovaries and signaling for ovulation to happen, happens in the brain first. Your ovaries are the final frontier, okay? Like, they're the last ones to get the message. So if we want healthy ovaries and healthy reproductive systems and healthy testes and healthy reproductive systems in men, we need to start up here, okay? And I know that might be a little bit like, what? For some of you who've never been taught that, this is what I teach every day. This is my jam. This is the Hormone Project, is learning all of these things. And so that's what's really important to know, is that our reproductive health, our fertility, all of those things, it's happening from up top. So that pituitary gland's getting all of these messages and it starts to send them out. Now, once the brain has started to communicate with the thyroid, the next messenger that it's coming into is the adrenals. So when someone says, I have adrenal fatigue, I have adrenal exhaustion, my adrenals are fried, my adrenals this, that, whatever. What that actually means, because there's no medical diagnosis of adrenal fatigue. It's why if you go to your family doctor, they will be like, that is not a thing. You need an antidepressant. You need a nap. You need to take a day off. And you're like, are you effing kidding me? Because all the things you're feeling are real. So all of the symptoms are very real. All of the signs that are coming from your body, very real. But our terminology is what is off. So what it actually is it's called an HPA-axis dysfunction or imbalance. The H stands for that hypothalamus, the P stands for the pituitary gland, and the A stands for your adrenals, and it's an axis. You know what an axis, how it works. If one thing is out of balance, it pulls everything else out of balance, and then anything else that is depending on that one area of balance will get thrown off. It's a cascading effect, and this is the health of our bodies, and I really want you to understand this. Oh, Jillian, I'm so happy. I'm so happy you are feeling better. This is what's so important about understanding this is we want to put stuff in a container. We want to run to the store and we want to buy the adaptogen. And then we're like, I'm good. I'm swallowing the thing. I'm taking the thing. I'm good. I'm going to tell you right now, it's absolute bullshit. Okay. Pardon my French, but it is. That is not how this works. Your body can actually only take on and uptake the things that you're doing for it if you're supporting a really good foundation, but you have to understand how all of this is connected. If you suffer from chronic headaches, you do not just suffer from chronic headaches. Chronic headaches are the huge messenger that is trying to get your attention to tell you something else is off in another axis and another organ and system in your body. If you have major digestive issues, you do not just suffer from digestive issues. That is the big talker that is getting your attention to let you know there are bigger things going on in other areas of your body. If you have heavy periods, you have horrible menopause that you're dealing with, you have insomnia, no sex drive, you're suffering from acne, you have debilitating anxiety. Symptoms, 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 not the root cause. And so understanding what I'm talking about today is critical to understand that nothing is in isolation, okay? Except for us, we're in isolation. But nothing is. And so when we take a step back and understand that the way that your nervous system is responding is because of what's happening up top, and it's sending all these different messages out, that I hope you can sit back and be like, well, that's really cool. And that means there's more opportunity for change. It means that I have different areas of my body that I can be supporting and tapping into. And if I focus on that area, like say, for instance, right now, you were to focus on just getting tons of good quality water into your body, not in plastic, okay? Glass or stainless steel. If you were to do just that, if you were to like double your water intake that you normally would have, the impacts and the ripple effect on your whole body would be amazing. If you were to start to drink more warming drinks for your body that are free of sugar, that are not frappuccinos and sugary lattes and all of those things, and you were start to do herbal teas or some of the elixirs that we post for you, and that's all that you did, but you did it consistently every day, beautiful, wonderful, your body's going to respond. If it was sleep, I mean, I could go on with 25 different things, but you get the point. But here's the thing, understand this: brain, body, up top, down below, all interactive with one another. So when we think we have adrenal fatigue, which there are different stages of this breakdown in the body, what you have to understand is that taking an adrenal support is not going to be a cure-all for you. If you don't change the thing that is causing you the stress, that is contributing to this dis-ease in your lifestyle, which can come from different things. It can come from the stress people is feeling now. It can come from eating foods that are a huge stressor on your body. It can come from your job. It can come from your environment. It can come from chemicals and toxins. It can come from people that are chemicals and toxins in your life. It can come from having nutritional imbalances and deficiencies. It can come from different illnesses that you've had years ago. Like if you ever had a parasite, if you had H. pylori, if you ever suffered from mono, if you chronically had strep, those things are stealth. They hang out, they're opportunistic. They hang out behind the scenes in our body. And when we get stressed in times like this, they can rear their head. If you have an autoimmune illness, my practice right now is full of all of the women who have Hashimoto's having flare-ups because of the stress. And these flare-ups will show in different ways. I have one right now who hasn't had a voice for 4 weeks. This is part of her flare-up. I have others where all of a sudden she has like chronic dermatitis. That wasn't happening before. Digestive issues that weren't there before, joint pain and inflammation. So being attuned to your body is really important, and paying attention to these different signs and symptoms that you are feeling. Now, that connection in these different areas of the body is important, because if you start to recognize, okay, my thyroid, if you have a thyroid issue, it means that you've had adrenal issues for a very long time, way before the thyroid became an issue. So you want to put more energy and more of your mindset into what am I doing to support my adrenals. If you know that you have had really irregular cycles, or maybe you don't have cycles anymore, but when you did, they were heavy, they were clotty, they were painful, lots of cramps, breast tenderness, mood swings, that there was a period of time where things weren't being supported. And the good news is there's lots that we can be doing now. So what I want to take you through is I want to explain to you what the cascading impact is on our hormones when the adrenals get miswired, when the talk is happening in a way that is having them change the amount of cortisol they're producing, adrenaline, how this impacts your insulin, how this impacts estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, your neurotransmitters, which are responsible for helping us to feel less anxious and less depressed and more calm and grounded, how this will impact things like your cravings, your mood, your sex drive, all of that. So that's what we're going to do our deep dive into today. I need to understand before we go forward though, does what I'm explaining to you about the brain connection, so this HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, make sense to you? And do you understand that your brain is communicating with your adrenals and your thyroid and your ovaries, and that we have multiple of these balances happening in the body? I know this is like you've just stepped into science class. Welcome to my online classroom. We're all being homeschooled. Today is your day one. Okay, so this makes sense. All right. And if it doesn't, I totally get it. Like if you're all of a sudden like, I didn't have adrenal stress and now I'm listening to you and I have adrenal stress, that is a normal response as well. Okay. So, all right. Okay. So everybody is getting this amazing. Remember, it's recorded. So you can go back, you can listen. You're all good. Okay. Let me take a sip of water. I just taught a live yoga class before this too. So my throat is like, girl, you need fluid. And here's the other thing I'm going to say to you. When you are, so I am a 3 on the Enneagram, if any of you do this, which is achiever, and my wing is a 2, which is a helper. So I have to be very careful for my own energy and my own adrenals that I don't burn out by helping people. I have been inundated with emails and requests and all of this. And I get it when one person reaches out and, I know you're busy. Can you just post this? Or could you? And I'm like, no, I have to just say no right now. I'm like, I cannot. You can book an appointment with me. I just had to come at a sabbatical after years of not taking on private clients and offer some sessions, because I can't just keep giving all of my time and being away from my family, to do this like 24/7. So I'm going to keep doing some webinars like this over these next few weeks because I want you to be educated. It's so important. But we also just have to respect time and boundaries. And I'm not just saying this for me. I also think we need to, I'm not offering online yoga classes to the public, Vivian. I'm a director at a studio in town, and so I'm helping that small business out by doing it for them. I have lots of programs that you can purchase. So these are members who are paying for their membership, and we've created an online studio for them. But I have loads of programs that you can purchase through my website, jenpike.com, and they're all on sale right now. Okay, so back to this at hand. All right, so here we go. So let's talk about what's actually happening when we have acute activation of stress, and then we have chronic. So acute would be, oh my gosh, today when I was at the park with my child, they like flipped backwards off the swing. I went into like full blown adrenaline mode, and I lifted that swing. Well, that's not a good example because the swing's not heavy. They fell off something that fell on top of them that was heavy, and you had this like all of a sudden surge of strength where you were able to get that off them and support them. Super stressful at the time. Your body gets flooded with all of your stress hormones, epinephrine and norepinephrine, cortisol to come in and to protect you and to give you the adrenaline, the rush, the energy, the blood flow, and the mental fortitude to be engaged and focused in that time so that you can react, you can rescue, and then you can retreat. React, rescue, retreat. Those are important things, the 3 R's to remember, okay? So the retreat part is really essential. Once a stressful situation like that is over, your body pulls back and it's like, it's the calm. This is oftentimes where shake will happen. So if you listen to my podcast episode with Kate Northrup, we talked about how animals, so this again comes to that primal part of us, we are animals in the wild. When something traumatic happens, they will shake involuntarily for a solid 15 to 30 minutes after. And it's how the nervous system recalibrates. So if you find yourself shaking, if you find yourself fidgeting, I keep using this word frenetic when I'm describing energy because that's how it has felt to me, is this very just like unsettled, edgy, wiry type of feeling. That's your body trying to retreat and pull back and manage so that you don't stay stuck in the acute. The acute is fight or flight. And that's a beautiful system that happens in our body to protect us. But here's the problem. When acute becomes chronic, when we are in a mode of, I don't know what's going to happen to my business. I don't know what's going to happen to my job. Is it still going to be there? I don't know what's going to happen if I have to homeschool my children for the rest of the year. I don't know what's going to happen if my wedding has to get canceled. I don't know what's going to happen, you know, fill in the blanks of whatever everybody is feeling, because it's all something different, but the response is very much the same. This now acute activation becomes chronic, and the chronic stress is what starts to break us down. The chronic stress is what starts to debilitate us. The chronic stress is what sticks us into a moment of feeling like we are paralyzed and don't know what to do with ourselves or what to do with this energy, and fear comes in. Okay, so remember that the acronym for fear, there's two. You could take whichever one you like. The first one is false evidence appearing real. The second is fuck everything and run. Okay, sometimes in the same hour, you have to jog back and forth between both, depending on what's going on. But if we get stuck in the chronic, where you are every day watching the news, you are every day tuning into Facebook and Instagram, and it's a lot of negativity, it's a lot of fear that's coming through, what's going to happen is there's going to be changes in your stress system that are going to change the production of certain hormones. Cortisol, your adrenaline-based hormones, DHEA. DHEA is an androgenic hormone that is produced 100%, well, primarily in your adrenals, a little bit in the liver and some of the other reproductive tissue. But your adrenal hormones are important, because DHEA is like the grandmother hormone, okay? And she has the ability to be able to produce other hormones like estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone from the abundance of what she makes. If your adrenals and that HPA axis system has been stressed and fried for a very long time, you have been unknowingly to you, because you aren't being taught this until maybe today, days old, have been withdrawing from your adrenal bank account for too long. And some of you are now in overdraft, and some of you have no overdraft protection left. So you are at that flat line where you're like, I can't get up. I can't do it. I can't respond to stress. I'm crying at everything. I don't have the energy. I can't do the things I used to do before. I'm feeling like I am just not able to function. When DHEA is sitting at that low end, what starts to happen is our hormones become impacted in terms of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. We have another hormone in our body called pregnenolone. And this is why, like, having a healthy amount of cholesterol in our body is so important. Like, your healthy fats are really, really critical, especially as a woman, because we need that in order to produce and create a lot of these hormones in our body. And when these hormones start to get diminished, and when typically what will happen in the human body is, in times of stress, cortisol production will go up initially, but it can't stay there forever. Like, our stress hormones are designed for short term. Stressful situation, hormones are produced, they go in, they help us, respond, rescue, and then retreat. When they are called upon 24/7 all the time, because of whatever life has been handing us, this is what's referred to as a catabolic situation. You start to consume lean muscle tissue, your body starts to consume other healthy hormone levels, it starts to break you down. And over time, if you're doing this for too long and cortisol has been high for a long time, that production is going to start to slow down. And it's not because your adrenals have frizzled and fried out. It is because the brain is like, girl, you have been crying friggin' Chicken Little for too long. Or, I am sorry, but I have been giving you warnings to stop eating the thing, to quit the job, to leave the relationship, to figure your finances out, to get your head out of your ass, to clean up the piles around your house, to finally make a decision and move forward, to do the thing that lights you up, and you haven't been paying attention. And so now all these little signs of stress you're giving me, I'm not responding anymore. I am going to stop sending the signal from your brain to your adrenals to provide stress hormone until you can calm things down at ground zero. And what ends up happening is, now you have this huge surge of cortisol. And in the beginning, when you are in this state of fight or flight, when you have a lot of cortisol, when you have a lot of adrenaline, it feels amazing, because you feel like, I've got this. I can multitask. I can manage this. I can take care of everyone. I can take care of everything. I do good under pressure. I love having lots going on. Anybody familiar with those types of people? And maybe that's you. Like, if you describe yourself as a type A personality, and I need to be busy and I'm task oriented, this is a warning, because I've lived there. I was president for a while and I burned out and I felt what that feels like. And it's part of why it's my mission to teach and educate women, because it doesn't have to be that way. I'm telling you, you can build the life, the business, the family, the body, the health, all of that without that being your MO. Okay. Does that make sense how I'm explaining that? And can any of you relate to the way that I'm talking about when you start to function from that? You are not designed to be in that type of position all the time. You can't do it. Your body cannot do it. And you are going at some point, if you aren't already, to feel that. And maybe you are feeling it, but you don't know that that's actually what's been going on. Okay. Yeah. It's like so many of you. Right. And this is the thing is, so many of us, we want to be the fixer, and we can't fix this right now. All we can do is show up and take care of ourselves, and do that in a way that this is not selfish. Okay. Repeat after me. I am not selfish for taking care of myself before I take care of other people. You are not selfish. You have to be energized and well and vital and nourished in multiple ways so that you can then do that for your children and for your partner and for whomever else. You have to wake up every day and ask yourself, how can I be of service to myself? And then how can I be of service to others? Okay. Not the flip side, because if you keep choosing everything and everyone else first, you're going to be too tired for anything to be left there for you. It won't happen. Okay. So in your body, when this is happening, and I'm saying that if we get into this chronic mode and the switch never gets turned off, is that your neurotransmitters, which are more than 80% of them, are produced with 80% of their production, if not more, in the lining of your stomach. So serotonin, dopamine, tryptophan, melatonin, GABA, all these different receptors that are actually responsible. Like you need to have one to then build and convert into the other. It's like Lego, right? Or, it's like Jenga. If you build this structure and you start to pull elements out now, well, it's only a matter of time before the entire structure falls. So that's how, if you are a visual person and you can think about Jenga, when you start that game and all the blocks are there, it is a solid, sturdy structure. And now something happens, you're not eating well, you have a deficiency, you're not hydrated, you're not sleeping, something you weren't prepared for, like this happens. And little by little, life is starting to pull your blocks out from all different areas. And you start to feel the weeble and the wobble, okay? The weeble and the wobble are the signs and the symptoms. It's your body communicating with you. If you don't start to go back and rebuild and find those blocks that were pulled out and put them back in to recreate this solid structure and foundation, your body at one point will fall over and topple, okay? So with these neurotransmitters in our gut, this is why the food that you're eating is so critical. And when we get into the steps and the points, I'm going to talk to you about what I really want you to think about eating and putting in your body. What happens when these neurotransmitters start to get low, right? So serotonin production is low, GABA is low, and if adrenaline is high, this is going to increase anxiety. What happens when our body is also in a state of stress is the first hormone that it will consume is progesterone. And the reason that it does this in our bodies, this is so important to understand, is because you are hardwired, regardless if you want to have children or not, you are hardwired in your body to reproduce. And if we don't have enough progesterone, if we are lacking certain hormones, if our body is under a certain amount of stress, the hormones that are needed, like your follicular stimulating hormone, your luteinizing hormone, they are not going to be able to do their job of ripening the follicles, of tending to good quality ovaries, of selecting an egg, of creating ovulation. This is what you have to understand, ladies. Your period is not the main event. Ovulation is. Your period is the culmination. It is the end result of every other thing that has been happening in the other three phases of the follicular phase, the ovulatory phase, and the luteinizing phase that is going on in your body that then results in the period. But your ovulation is the main event. This is how menopause happens. When you start to slow down how often you're ovulating and then you finally stop, it is then going to be in the next 12 to 18 months that menopause is going to start to happen. So if these hormones are being stressed, being called into other areas, are feeling like it is not a safe environment, if your body does perceive that this is not a safe environment to get pregnant and to create a body, and listen to me, this doesn't matter if you are 10 years old or you are 80 years old and you are not in a position to actually conceive. Your body is hardwired as a female and a man in a slightly different way for this reproduction. And if your system says, we are not all systems a go, this is not a safe environment right now, those hormones will then start to break down and diminish, and certain processes like ovulation will not happen. So you might end up with a shorter cycle. You might get your period early this month. The quality of it might change. You might notice some different sensations in yourself that you haven't in a very long time. And so if the body is not feeling safe enough, it will start to shunt certain phases, certain processes that normally would happen, because it is like, girl, we are barely keeping you alive and thriving right now. We cannot be creating another life in your system. Okay. And you know this, like if you've been pregnant before, that baby in your body, it will do everything it can and take it all in order to keep that a viable, healthy, strong pregnancy. Our bodies are so smart. But when our body also senses that something is off, it will cause different issues and different things to go on. So progesterone is going to be a huge one that's going to be impacted. And progesterone and GABA, these are two hormones that work together that are rest and digest hormones. They're calming hormones, right? They are what, give us the gentleness of our mood, the openness of our heart. They're what allow us to be witness to things happening, but not get wrapped up in it. They are also what allow us to break down our food fully and completely, to get the nutrients out of it, to have a good night's sleep, to support our libido and our sex drive so that we can be connected, and then get other hormones like oxytocin, which is like that euphoric hormone that makes us feel good. So we really want to try to, when we recognize we're feeling a certain way, you have to break your state. And I've got 10 tips I'm going to give you to break your state and what you can do to get out of this. So some things that you might notice in your body as a result of these different issues happening in your system. And I want you to understand too, that if you have, like, say this month your period comes and it is different, or next month it happens. Because here's the other thing you have to understand. The period you get this month, if there was like acute, serious stress, it can definitely be impacted. But our cycle in our body as a woman for the follicular stimulating hormone in the brain to talk to the ovaries is about 90 to 100 days. So you might not see the impact for 2 to 3 months that show up. So this is why it's really important that you're tracking. And if you're a woman that doesn't have a cycle, I encourage you to track using the lunar cycle. I have a free opt-in on my website about cycle syncing. If you're part of my synced program, there's different education that's in there as well too. And I've done different podcasts on this, but syncing up to the moon cycle and the energy of her is really important, because we are deeply connected to nature. What is happening outside is impacting us inside. Okay. So the things that you might notice in the body is going to be a shorter period cycle. So make sure you are tracking this. You might notice you have worse PMS symptoms. You also might notice that your sleep is off. I mean, how many of you have been struggling with your sleep for the last couple of weeks, right? You might notice you're extra thirsty. In a time of stress, your body's using a lot of resources. So your body's burning through more calories. It's burning through more fluid. It's internal intensity, which can't be measured by your Fitbit. It's higher than what it normally would be. So you need to double down on your water. You need to have warming fluids right now are really important. And I don't really want to talk a lot about the virus at all, but what I will tell you is this. What they're learning is they're doing more and more autopsies of bodies in China and in Italy, is that it's the mucus. So the respiratory system is obviously what's being impacted the most, but it is the mucus that's sitting in the lower lobe of the lung, and it's blocking respiratory airways. And what they know is that even in order for medication to get in and help, you have to first unblock the obstructions, the airways. So warm fluids daily, right? So herbal teas, warm lemon water. If you have digestive issues, warm water with fresh lemon, tiny little bit of apple cider vinegar, amazing, especially in the morning. Even just like regular warm water in a mug is important. Soups, stews, Anything warming is going to help to break up that fluid. Keeping your mouth moist. So if you are just having regular water, fine, but make sure you're drinking something at least every 20 minutes to keep those airways open. So that's a bonus where we're going to help the thirst and the hydration side of things, and we're just going to keep things moving in your body. The other thing you might be feeling is anxious and depressed. You might notice that your exercise performance is not as good as usual, meaning that you might have been able to lift a certain amount or work out at a certain intensity or do a certain amount of repetitions or sets, and you just don't have it in you right now. I would strongly encourage you that you take this opportunity over these next few weeks when the energy is what it is, that you're kind and compassionate with yourself when you're exercising. Please let go right now of the ideas of weight loss and start to focus on not what do I weigh, what size am I wearing, but how do I feel and how am I functioning? That's your core question to ask yourself every day. You know, we want to move our body. I'm going to talk about some different forms of exercise in the next part of this, but understand that if you're not performing as well, and more importantly, if you aren't recovering as well, those are deep signs and symptoms from your body. And if you don't heed to them, you're going to be forced to. So listen to yourself and practice kindness, compassion, and have grace in doing this, okay? The other thing you might recognize is that you're sweating more than you normally would, and that is a stress response in the body. So if you're finding that your shirt is wet and that your deodorant's not working anymore, you probably don't need to switch to a new natural deodorant. You probably just need to ask yourself, okay, what am I feeling right now? Like, what is actually going on? You need to put pen to paper and write it out. Again, I'm going to talk about my tips coming just up in a moment. You also might notice your skin is breaking out. I noticed that. I was like, I got like a pimple here and I'm like, I haven't broke out on my chin for the longest time. And this is the hormonal jawline. So things that are going to trigger your breakouts here are going to be, have you been drinking more since this has been going on? Have you been eating more snack foods? Is your blood sugar unstable? Are you having too much sugar? And are you stressed out? It will show up along that jawline. It's like the hormonal chin strap is what it's referred to as. Have your cravings been crazier than they normally would be? Are you all of a sudden craving things that you wouldn't? That is, again, a sign that hormonally there are some things that are off track and that are out of balance. And the final one is, is all of a sudden everyone around you the most annoying? Where are you at with your patience? You might notice that you just don't have any anymore and that everyone is annoying and you want to be around none of them. That is a totally normal response right now. We are living in, closer quarters than we have been. And the reality is they've probably always been this annoying. You just haven't spent enough time with them to realize that. And you're annoying too. We're all annoying right now. Okay. It's all good. We all just have to figure out ways that we can coexist without actually hurting anybody. I need one more sip here. Yeah. Okay. I'm back in the chat room for a moment looking at some questions. Would I see this as restlessness on your aura ring? 100%. My ring has been like, my readiness has just started to get back on track the last few days. But that first week it was telling me. I had this one day and it was the night. I'm going to pull up my app. So it's so cool. So this is an aura ring that I'm wearing. I don't keep giving you the middle finger. I'm trying to explain something to you. And so it uses infrared technology and it measures your sleep. It measures your heart rate variability, your readiness. It's really cool and intuitive. And what I love about it is you can have it in airplane mode all the time. So you're not connected to the Bluetooth. And then when you want to get your info, then you can hook it up. So Monday this week, Sunday was probably the day I had the most weird anxiousness in my body because I was watching too much. I was listening to too much. I was letting too many people's opinions, conspiracy theories, all these things just get in my head. And I went to bed that night and I knew when I woke up, I had not slept well. And what was interesting is like my gut, like my own intuition all day Sunday and going to bed Sunday night, I just kept saying to my husband, like, I've got some whispers coming from within that's just telling me I need to change direction and I gotta be in charge of my energy. And I woke up in the morning and it said my readiness was a 76. Typically I'm like 85 or higher. And it said, was it something you ate? Looks like your heart rate lowered late last night. Could it be that something is off in your digestive system? It was in overdrive. Okay, so it wasn't anything I ate. My digestive system was in overdrive because this is where your enteric nervous system lives. This is your gut. This is your intuition. This is like we feel in our body when our body is trying to communicate with us. And then it will stem out from there. So it's important to pay attention to. Yeah, lots of cravings. So the other thing, Sophie, is that you've also been unwell. So your body is looking for different things. And that's where, like, if you have been sick, like I've been working with some clients who actually did get the coronavirus, and we're doing a lot of mineral-based stuff, a lot of bone broths, a lot of herbal teas, a lot of elixirs with different tonics in it, smoothies, soups, like just keeping things very basic, but keeping the blood sugar supported and keeping their minerals supported as well too. So that should hopefully subside once you start to feel better. If hormonal issues cause the chin strap, what causes acne to be localized on the cheeks? Cheeks are typically congestion. You can actually look up Chinese face mapping for acne. But understand too, if you have issues with acne, you have issues with your gut and your liver, right? And so it's like some of those, like if you get an acute breakout, like periodically, that can be hormones and stress, but they're all interconnected to your gut and to your liver. So you can use every skincare product under the sun. And if you have a lot of skin issues going on, you've got to dig deeper, right? You got to dig deeper and see what's going on. Okay, so let me just tap back in here. Okay, so now let's go into some of the things you can do to be supporting your nervous system right now. So I have got 10 tips for you today. First one, I want you to connect with somebody who's positive and grounding, okay? A friend, a family member, a mentor, a coach. Who can you connect with and talk to where you're not going to put yourself in a bubble of talking about this virus? You're going to talk about things that are positive, things that you're looking forward to, about the fact that the sun is shining and that the snow is melting and whatever it is. You have to you got to look for the helpers, okay? There are tons of people who are in a negative mindset right now, and you can love them, but it doesn't mean that you have to connect with them a lot. Look for the helpers. They are everywhere. Find that level of positivity and every day focus on that. My second tip for you is to double down on gratitude. I have the 5-minute journal, which is a gratitude journal. You don't need to have that. You can have just a blank book, but every day, here's what I would recommend. And if this doesn't work for you, I'll take you through a flow of like what my mornings are right now. I get up. I make a warm drink. I start with warm water and lemon and a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and I grab my journal and I sit somewhere comfy in the house. It might still even be, I might come back up into bed. Like our routine's just a little different right now. I might sit downstairs and I write 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 things that would make today fantastic. I write what my daily affirmation is. So right now, a lot of my affirmations are things like, I am happier, healthier, and wealthier today than I was yesterday. I deserve all the health, strength, and abundance that the universe can provide, right? It might be something like that. And then I do a mind doodle. So it's like morning pages. I just stream whatever I'm thinking about. I literally just write and I stream it out. It doesn't have to make any sense. Majority of the time, I do not go back and read it again, but I need to get it out of my body so I can create space so then I can move into my day. And then by that time, usually someone's up in the house, then I'll make an elixir, which I'll do. And I have lots of recipes on my blog. I have lots in my cookbook. You can access the blog for recipes at jenpike.com. The cookbooks are there to buy as well too. Instagram, I have recipes, but I start with an elixir. And then I will move my body. So I might either do one of my videos. I'm becoming my own best friend right now. It's interesting. I might do one of my own videos. I'll go for a walk outside. And then, and then it's like if I have work to do, I'm doing work or I'm working with clients and that. But the morning is critical. You need to own your morning. So I need you to ask yourself, what are you doing in the morning? Because if it's just coffee after coffee after coffee, you're working against yourself for your adrenal health. If you are doing a lot of caffeine right now, I'm going to strongly recommend that you stop doing that. 1 cup of good quality coffee, fine. But add some collagen to it, add a little bit of, healthy non-dairy milk. But if you are already feeling like you are a helium balloon that is lifting up off the ground and you keep putting stimulants into your system, too much coffee, too much alcohol, too much sugar, junk food, you might feel like you're feeling fine right now. I'm going to tell you, it's going to catch you. It's going to bite you in the butt coming down the pipe. I can guarantee you of it. So if you are doing 2, 3, 4 cups of coffee a day, please stop. I was on a call with a woman the other day who booked one of the consults I opened up, and she's doing 2 coffees in the morning, and she's so fried in the afternoon. She is now drinking Rockstar, which is an energy drink that she's never done before, just to get through the day. So I talked her off the ledge and gave her some other suggestions based on her life to help her. But those things are not going to help you, okay? So be very, very aware of some of the habits that you might be starting to pick up right now. Number 3 is you have to move your body, okay? This is actually primal. So our bodies are designed to move and use big muscles. This is also how we recalibrate that internal stress response in our body. So when you're feeling like you're, riled up or anxious, I need you to do things like your own body weight, squat, lunge, push-ups, planks. If you have some free weights and things at home, pick them up, move them. Okay. I also need you to do things like yoga and Pilates, and I need you to walk right now. Walking is probably the most cathartic thing you could do for yourself, because you're in the fresh air. You're going to get to take in the sounds around you. You're going to get to maybe just go by yourself. That's how you escape your family. You go and put yourself in isolation outside in fresh air and nature. You listened to an Audible book, maybe you listen to a podcast, whatever it is. Give yourself the gift, no matter how cold it is. Bundle yourself up and get outside. If you are missing structure, you are part of a gym, you are missing the community, there are online classes available. I have a whole movement series, Sleeveless Strength, a whole Rock Solid Booty. I have a Pilates one. I have one that's totally based on your cycle and syncing up to that. You can go to jenpike.com and you'll see all of those there. Just do something, please. Okay. And breathe. I need you to stay connected to your breath. And I'm going to give you a little bit more on that in a breathing exercise in a moment. But don't sit on the couch, right? Like, do that later, but get your movement in, stretch. You're going to get all rusty and crusty if you're just sitting all the time. Pull out your foam roller, your yoga blocks, your tune-up balls, whatever you have. I need you to have this stuff right now in the family room, in the living room, on your bedroom floor. I need you to trip on it so that you see it and you actually use them. This is not the time to have that stuff away in the cupboards, okay? You need to pull it out so that you're actually moving your body. And here's the thing, if you guys are watching a movie, if you're doing stuff as a family, get off the couch and get onto the ground. I promise you that if you sit on the ground, you will do more than just sit. You will intuitively start to move your body and stretch, okay? Number 4 is consider adaptogens. So adaptogens are things like the Stressed or the Shazandra I talked about. There's beautiful adaptogen powders. I'm going to tell you a couple of good companies: Organic Traditions, Sun Potion, Moon Deli. They have good adaptogen powders. I have an adaptogen powder from Sun Potion. It's called He Shu Wu in my elixir right now. And I've got Dandy Blend, collagen, He Shu Wu, some cinnamon, hot water, and a little bit of non-dairy milk. And I just blend this all up. And it's cold now, actually, because I made this when we started, but it's still delicious. And these adaptogens just help your body. And here's the thing. People are like, well, but maybe is it placebo? Who cares? Who cares? If you're having it and you're feeling like it's making you feel better, chug-a-lug-a-lug, except for alcohol. That you're not allowed to do, okay? You're not allowed to chug that to try and feel better. The other thing is like the Stressed is good. I have some women I'm working with right now where we have them on stronger adaptogens. They need glandulars. They actually need something that is harder hitting so that they can get their energy back. They can calm their anxiety. They can be sleeping better and they can get back to daily function of life. And that's where I would say, if you feel like you are on that fence right now where you're just like, oh my gosh, that's where you need to book with a practitioner. It does not have to be me. You can book with anybody. Like if you have somebody you've already worked with and you love their style and you're connected, everybody is doing, my whole practice is virtual. I will tell you, it is one thing I'm so grateful right now is I've had a virtual business for almost 5 years now. I sold my brick and mortar, and I would be crumpled in a heap right now if I still had my brick and mortar, in fear of what the heck I was going to do and how I was going to pay my bills. And all of a sudden, on the flip of a dime, everybody has had to learn how to take their business online. And so business is going to be changing as we know it. Your interaction with not, every kind of business, but practitioners, it is going to be like this. And when you do go on with a practitioner and you're doing a virtual consult, we see each other. Like right now, I don't see all of you. And I could, but I choose not to do this in big classes out of privacy for people. But when I'm with a client, I see you. We are creating a relationship. We're still connected. It's like FaceTiming, right? But it's in this platform. The brand, there's a couple of different brands. And remember, this is recorded so you can go back, but Sun Potion, Organic Traditions, and Moon Deli. Those are 3 good ones. And there's other good companies too. Organic Traditions, Organic India is another one. They have some good ones too. But that is where I would say if you feel like you need more than just, a powder, like you need somebody to help put kind of like a critical care package together for your adrenals, that's when you want to reach out to a practitioner. I have a couple of the 1-hour spots that I opened up that are left. You could just email us, hello@jenpike.com if you wanted to book one of those. Does supplemental DHEA help to increase the adrenal health bank? So no, and you must be from the States, because in Canada it's actually illegal for people to be getting DHEA. You have to work with a doctor who does bioidenticals. So I don't actually recommend just going and buying DHEA off the counter. It's not going to restore the bank. It's going to help to manage it while you're doing the behind the scenes thing. So it'll help you feel better in the interim, but it's not something that we would stay on necessarily forever and ever. So I'd really recommend, Julie, that you work with a practitioner where you are who is really well versed in that. They can help you understand what you need to take. Paige, you can go find all of that if you email of us. Yeah, I'm a functional medicine nutritionist, so I'm an FDN for that. Okay, so let's get back to the actual info that we are talking about. Okay, so adaptogens, keeping your blood sugar stable. This is huge. This is massive. So everybody's kind of hourly range of when they're going to eat is going to be different. But if you need to eat every 2 hours because you start to feel shaky, headache, jittery, you have a blood sugar issue. Okay. That's not a positive response from our system. You should easily be able to go 3.5, 4 hours without eating something and not feeling like you are going to inhale everything that's not nailed down. So every meal, ask yourself, is there a source of healthy fiber? So your vegetables, your fruit, is there a source of healthy fat? Is there a source of healthy protein? I don't lead into this anymore by saying have a carb, fat, and protein, because as soon as you say carb, people go to crackers, cakes, cookies, pasta, rice, pitas, bagels, English muffins, toast, and they're like, yep, I got my carb in. You're probably consuming too much of that right now as it is in a flour-based state. So look for things like lots of vegetables. You can do your rice, do quinoa, do teff, do millet. I would prefer you're doing gluten-free grains if you're going to have them, and things like pasta and that. And, that is just to decrease the load of what is happening in terms of an inflammatory response on your gut. But just be careful of how much it is that you are having of a lot of that stuff. It's instead, like if you're going to get up, don't do toast and butter in the morning. I would say move those a little bit later, especially if you have trouble sleeping. Move those denser carbohydrates to your latter meal of the day. That'll help you. But in the morning, do a fantastic smoothie with lots of goodness. Do eggs with avocado and some sauteed veggies or some greens. Do leftover dinner for breakfast in the morning. Just ask yourself, where's all the vegetables? Do the soups, do those types of things, but protein, fat, and fiber. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then probably a snack in the afternoon, because we have that longest period of time between lunch and dinner. I don't know your schedule. I don't know you personally. I don't know your routine. I'm just going to give you kind of the framework that I've used in my practice for decades. It has worked really well, helping women stabilize their blood sugar, which if you're looking for adrenal stability and thyroid support, we have to start with your blood sugar in your gut. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, healthy snack in the afternoon. The other thing is making sure, like I said, you're getting enough of that water. And then it's the timing of your meals. So I am a huge fan and have used this in my practice for the longest time of making sure you get at least a 12-hour digestive break. Now I'm leery talking about things like intermittent fasting, because everybody does it now to try and use it as a tool to lose weight. And while there is a lot of research and studies that'll show that it is good for that. I use it for people to actually help their body do a better job with their insulin response and their insulin production, and helping to rehabilitate insulin resistance, as well as giving the digestive system the true break it needs. If you are eating too close to bedtime, if you are like eating nonstop throughout the day, you have no break for the gut to be able to do the real, true healing and work that needs to happen. So ideally, you want to have a 12-hour break, 12-hour fasting period, okay, where say you have dinner at 7 p.m. at night, you are not eating again anything until 7 a.m. in the morning. I personally, for my own body, go 14 hours daily. Sometimes I will go 16, but no more. Now, if you're someone who has been dealing with a lot of stress, you're pregnant, you're postpartum, you are breastfeeding, or you're feeling like a lot of the signs and symptoms that I described about the adrenals and your nervous system are what you've been going through, please do not go more than 14 hours. That can actually work against you. And there's a lot of not only just research and science behind that, but I work with human beings. And that's where the majority of my data comes from, is working with actual humans. And we test different things, and adrenal function suffers as a result of having too much time in that fasting period. So I have found the sweet spot for people with adrenals to be about 14 hours. And what that could look like is when you wake up in the morning, you can do the warm water and the lemon. You could even do a little bit of the Dandy Blender herbal tea with some non-dairy milk. You're not going to have your first meal, like a smoothie, your eggs, those types of things, until you're at that window. And so start with just the 12 hours to give yourself that full-on digestive break, and then see how it feels. If you're an already experienced intermittent faster and you've been doing longer durations in that, trust your body, work whomever you work with on that. There's a lot of health benefits to having the time between the meals, and then try to keep 2 to at best 3 hours at night before you've had your last meal, before you go to bed. It's going to help you with your sleep. It's going to help you digestively. And it'll help you on an inflammatory level. Your body can go in and calm down a lot of the cytokine production and a lot of the prostaglandins that are what contribute to inflammation in our body. And I'm not meaning just inflammation in your joints. I mean inflammation throughout, right? Like a headache is inflammation. Skin issues are inflammation. Gut issues, and like every sign and symptom is a source of inflammation. So just keep that at the forefront. When we're talking about the food to be choosing, real food. I say this in every class I teach about this the same way. Did it fall from a tree? Did it grow from the ground? Did it swim in the ocean? Or did it run across land at some point? That's real food. So take note of how much packaged stuff you're having. Obviously, we're going to be having some packaged foods, but read the ingredients. Don't be concerned right now looking at, well, what are the macros on this? And what's the calories? Look at what is it made of? Does it have artificial ingredients? Does it have tons of preservatives? Does it have artificial coloring? Does it have hydrogenated fats and oils? That is not food. It's not going to help you. Put that down and get something that's actually made up of real whole food. I want you to double down on your rest and your sleep. So this is probably the most important for everything, for your adrenal health, for your immune system. But when we look at our body's internal clock, so we have 2 clocks. We have a circadian rhythm clock, that not just based on your wake sleep cycles, but every single organ and system in your body has a circadian rhythm as well too. And then as a woman, we have an infradian clock and system, and that is based on our reproductive cycle. And so how these clocks are honored in our body is that we need to make sure that we are resting in the times where certain glands and systems need them the most. Your adrenal clock is 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. So if you get to bed past 10 o'clock most nights of the week and you're staying up even later than that, you are part of what is doing the withdrawal of the adrenal bank account. So getting yourself to bed earlier is free. Okay, this is not a supplement that you can go and buy. The sleep is the thing you have to start to work on. It's your sleep hygiene. It's your sleep routine. And it might take you a little while to get into it, but it's like trying to get your kids onto a routine. You've got to be consistent, okay? So 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. is our most critical time for our adrenal rest. Now, if you're somebody that wakes every night between 1 and 4 in the morning, this is a sign that adrenally some things might be off. It's also a pretty good sign that the liver and your blood sugar regulation is off as well too. So, you know, making sure that you are doing things like keeping that blood sugar stable all day long, keep the food as far away from going to bed. If you have digestive issues in terms of constipation, like you're not regular, because we need to be having good quality bowel movements every single day, what I'd recommend at night is to take magnesium before you go to bed. There's, you know, 3 different sources of magnesium that I will use. I'll use a threonate, I'll use a bisglycinate, or a citrate, depending on the person. For somebody who is constipated, a citrate can tend to help to loosen things up and get the bowels moving. Now, I can't tell you on here a therapeutic dose that I would use with my clients. I can tell you that like on the COMS, which is the natural powder citrate for an adult, it's going to be 2 teaspoons at night. For the magnesium bisglycinate, I can safely tell you, 400 milligrams would be what you would start with at night. But when I work therapeutically with women who have issues going on, we are doing much more than that to help their nervous system, to help the bowels, support the adrenals, and to help phase 2 detox in their body. So this is the benefit when you do work with somebody is that, again, a bottle, like when you pick it up, there's not a virtual person that comes through to be like, let me ask you some health questions and let me look at your blood work and your Dutch test and your GI map or whatever else. Like, they don't know. So you're just going to be told what they can safely recommend. But if you're in a critical situation with your health and you need more than the base, that's when you need somebody to work with who can actually understand what your chemistry, your test results, your signs and symptoms mean, and then guide you that way. Okay. There is one other thing I will tell you at night that you could take that I feel comfortable and confident sharing with you without knowing anything about you. And it is a product called Tranquil Sleep. I use this a lot. It's made by Natural Factors as the company. And you would chew 2 of these chewables before you go to bed, about a half an hour to an hour before. And it's got a low dose amount of melatonin, but it has 5-HTP and it has L-theanine. So melatonin in and of itself for most people doesn't typically work on its own. You need some of the other neurotransmitters or amino acids that help your nervous system calm down and can help to flip that switch. If your cortisol is riding high into the evening, you can't produce melatonin. So when, and this is where a lot of people's bodies, the switch is flipped, where your cortisol is the highest at night, when it should be at the lowest point so that you can produce enough melatonin, and the flip side happens first thing in the morning. So the reason you can't get up out of bed in the morning is because now your melatonin is still high when it was supposed to be low in the morning. Like, sun goes up, cortisol goes up, we get up. Sun goes down, melatonin, like sun goes down, cortisol down, moon up, melatonin up. And that's what helps us to go to sleep. If you are staying up late, if you are on devices late at night, if you are drinking alcohol at night, if you are eating things too late to going to bed, you have too much light in your room, your house is too hot, all of those things are going to contribute to you not sleeping well. And what the Tranquil Sleep can do is it can go in, the L-theanine and the 5-HTP can just drop your shoulders a little bit, and it can work with the melatonin to help you get into a more restful state of sleep. It works for some and it doesn't work for others. And so it's just, you're not going to bring any harm by trying it. It's very inexpensive. It's like less than $30 for a bottle. Somebody was asking too, Four Sigmatic is a great company. You can use their adaptogen blends as well for that. Okay. All right. What do I have down in here? Remember to breathe. Remember to breathe in all of this. Okay. And this isn't just, so many of us have a very shallow chesty breath. If you are somebody who breathes only up top here, this is a very fight or flight sympathetic nervous system breath, which means this is like when adrenaline is pumping, this is where we breathe. It's up top. It's very stress-based. When you watch a baby sleep, what do you see move on a baby? What is moving up and down on their little body if they're sleeping on their back? This is like a real question I'm asking. I want some of you to answer. Exactly. It's their belly, the tummy. This is where we need to be breathing from. Now, some people ask me, I don't get it. Our lungs are in our chest. They are, but your lungs are low. Okay. Like the lobe of your lungs are way back around here. And the way our diaphragm works when we're breathing is also massaging our vagus nerve and what's happening in terms of that calming response to your body. If you're breathing just up here, It's shallow and it's quick. You're not getting the full tidal volume of your lungs, which this is also important when we have respiratory illnesses that are going around. Do you have full breathing capacity? So practicing the breath work of inhaling for 5. So we're going to all do this together. I'm going to explain it to you and then we're going to do it. You're going to inhale slowly through your nose for 5 counts. And those counts are going to be like 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to hold it for 5 counts. And then we're very slowly through the nose going to exhale for 7 counts. So we're going to take longer to expel the breath than we are to take it in. If you stay up here in your chest, you are sending acute stress signals to your body, fight or flight. Okay? And that has that cascading effect. If we can breathe deeper, if we can get it deeper down into the belly, this is going to help you calm yourself down. So place one hand over your chest and one hand over your belly. Close your eyes. I'll do it as well too. So, I can't see you anyways. We're all just going to close our eyes. And you're going to inhale for 5 counts. You're going to hold it for 5. We're going to exhale for 7. And when you do this, what you should feel when you inhale is the belly and the chest both move out. Okay, because we are going to get some movement on that chest. We want it primarily to be in the belly though. And as you exhale, you're going to feel everything come back in towards the body. This is a great technique to do, at any time of the day, but in the morning to help to reset the tone of your nervous system, and in the evening before it is that you're going to bed. And so much of what I've talked to you about today is I didn't give you a laundry list of supplements that you need to go out and to buy or things you have to go spend money on. And this is our adrenal health is dependent on the life that we choose to live and the schedule that we put on ourselves. It's the things that we are showing up to and saying yes to, and it's the things that we are giving ourselves permission to say no to unapologetically. That's how you're going to heal your adrenals and how your body is going to better respond. That's your foundation. And then the other pieces of your rest and your sleep and your movement, your nutrition, what you're nourishing your body with, this is what it all comes down to is, are you a nourished human being? Okay. Do you feel nourished in all of those ways that make you feel joy and happiness and light you up? If you're sitting there and you're like flat out, no, I don't. That's what you do your writing about. You write like, what are the things I love that I don't do anymore that I need to start to do more of? Whatever that thing is, that's what you need to tap into. Okay. So I'm going to leave what I'm delivering you at that. We've been 70 minutes now, and I think that was a lot of information. I really appreciate a lot of the questions. I'll stay on for about 5 more minutes to ask adrenal specific questions, okay? Not about anything else, but adrenal specific questions that I can answer, and then we'll sign on off so we can get ourselves out into the fresh air. This will be sent out to you Monday night or Tuesday morning. We're on the weekend. I'm not asking my team to do this on the weekend, so we'll flip it out to you Monday night or Tuesday morning for the recording. And if you're listening to this as the podcast, this has happened a couple weeks down the road. So any specific adrenal questions that I can hopefully answer for you. And yet you're welcome. Thank you all so much for taking the time to join me for this. I hope you learned something. I hope that it opened your eyes to a couple of different things that you might be feeling, and it has helped to redirect your energy to how many wonderful things we do have, control over right now, like our body and how we're responding to things, and that there's so much we can do that we have access to right here in this given moment. Every 2 to 3 months, you get adrenal issues. I don't know why. That'd be something to work with somebody on and investigate that, and to ask yourself, like, what keeps happening that every season you're getting worn down again to the point where you have these issues that are going on, right? Do you notice a pattern? Is it that I'm good, and then something starts to build and happen, and now you get those issues again? The other thing is, maybe if this has been going on for a long time, every 2 to 3 months, this is where I would do testing. I would actually test your diurnal pattern. I would do the Dutch test and actually look at the full adrenal patterning that's happening in your body, and understand what is going on in terms of those hormones that's creating these adrenal issues for you. Rhodiola, what is a good company to buy from? So Rhodiola, Organic India is a good one. AOR is a good one. NFH, Designs for Health, like some of the professional lines are some really good ones. You can get rhodiola on its own, or you're going to find things in combination. Taking it on an empty stomach, it honestly depends on the individual. I have some people that are totally fine, and I have others that might need a little something, like even a tablespoon of like nut or seed butter into their belly before that they have it and take it in. Oh, you're welcome. How do you stop the imaginary stress at any given moment? Such a good question. You flip the switch up here and think about something positive. When I was feeling myself last week get into it, I literally just had to say, like, to my kids or to my husband, Mom's head is kind of going in a direction I'm not enjoying. Remind me of something funny, do something funny. Tell me something else. I had to just like get myself away from whatever was making me feel that. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, shift workers. Yeah. So that is definitely where I'd recommend that you work with somebody one-on-one who can look at exactly what's going on. The 7 days on, 7 days off. It is easier to find balance in that than it is when people are doing 2 on and 2 off. So you have 2 schedules of life. You have your 7 on and you have your 7 off. And you've got to figure out what's the timing of those 3 meals and that snack that you're having in the day. Getting your sleep routine and sleep hygiene structure down pat for your 7-day on when you're on days structure and your 7-day night. And you have to create a consistent pattern and stick to it. The tranquil sleep would be a good one for you to use when you have to sleep, when it's daylight outside. Also looking into something like the GABA as well too, which is a really effective neurotransmitter. These are chewables. So anytime that you're feeling that anxiousness, or if you're feeling a bit wired still from work, but you're physically tired and need to go to sleep, that can be a good one to try as well. Awesome. Okay. I think that is it in there. Time of day for rhodiola, I would take in the morning, in the daytime. You are welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me here. I'm just going to go on here. Basil drops. Yeah, holy basil is fantastic. Someone's asking about holy basil, and this applies to males. Yep, we all have adrenals. Holy basil is a beautiful adaptogen. It's actually in the stressed tincture from St. Francis. You can go to purefeast.ca, enter the code St. Francis 10 and save 10% off your St. Francis products. And if you go for Skin Essence, for any of their products, you enter in the code JenPike15 and you'll save 15% off all of those. The Aura Ring you order online. So it's auraring.com. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much, and I look forward to reconnecting with you when we do our next one. And for those of you that are listening to the live cast as a podcast, I will see you all back here next Monday morning for another episode. Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone. I am wishing you loads of simplicity and ease and spending lots of good quality time with your family. Take care.